Welcome to our session. My name is Norman, I'm from Berlin, and this is?
I'm Sveta from Frankfurt.
And we both work as developers at 1x Internet. So before we start, one important thing, at the end, on the last slide, there will be a QR code with all the tips and tricks, so you can just sit back and relax now and listen. You don't need to work during this presentation. Okay, so this whole topic started last year during Christmas, when clients suddenly realized the year is ending and they need to spend the leftover budget right now. Things got pretty intense for me. There simply was much more work than there was time. And I noticed it was getting really hard for me to stop working and to stop thinking about work, even after shutting down my computer. Maybe this sounds familiar to you. At the next meetup of the Drupal user group Berlin, we had a lean coffee session. It actually was lean Glühwein because Christmas, this is this kind of session where everybody suggests a topic and the most interesting ones get picked and we talk about them. And I suggested this topic because I was really curious what other people do about it. And to my big surprise, really everyone jumped on it and shared their experience and their tips and tricks, and I collected all of it. So clearly this topic really matters to a lot of people. Like, for example, Sveta, why does it matter to you?
Yeah, so this topic got important for me after I got a child and I realized I don't have enough time for all my hobbies, for my partner, for my child, for my work, and I need to separate working time from my private time. And that was pretty difficult. That's why I think we need to talk about that, because I know this is the problem for many people.
Exactly. So here's the plan. First we look into a bit of theory, and then we'll share all the tips and tricks we collected from the Drupal community and from our team at 1x Internet. Yes. So let's talk about why this topic actually matters. First of all, it's burnout prevention, mental health. If your brain is running marathon every day and every night, sooner or later it's going to trip over its own shoelaces. And taking time daily to disconnect is not lazy, it's smart self-maintenance to prevent mental health issues. So then it's important to also be able to enjoy life outside of work, which can become difficult if you are constantly busy with work. Hobbies, sunshine, people who don't ask about GitLab issues, those kind of things, they really make a difference. And the best part is when you actually manage to do that, enjoy life outside of work, you can come back the next day with more focus and more energy. So disconnecting doesn't makes you more productive, not less. But if all of this sounds logical, why is it still so hard to do? That's where things get interesting. And Sveta, you looked into the psychology part. What did you find out?
Yes, so I'm sure all of you already had a moment when you stop working, but you can't stop thinking about work for hours. Or even better, you wake up in the middle of the night and thinking, okay, I need to remember something important for tomorrow. You can't fall asleep again. This everything called Zeigarnik effect. And shortly to say, we tend to remember unfinished or interrupted tasks better than finished one. And our brain keeps looping unfinished tasks in the background. That's why you can't stop thinking about work for hours. And the solution of it is actually pretty easy, but not everyone is using it. Just write it down. Even if it's in the middle of the night, just take a piece of paper and write your note, and you will see how fast your brain calms down because the thought is out of your head. Of course, there are more ways to avoid Zeigarnik effect, and for example, end of days rituals. Write a checklist in the end of your working day. What did you do today with all your tasks, even small tasks, because they shouldn't be underestimated, they matter too. And this will give you a signal to your brain that you have done enough for today and you can rest without guilt, because resting is part from productivity. For all of us, it's clear that after vacation we have more energy, clear mind. The same happens in a daily routine. As better you relax in the evening, as more productive you are in the next day. This is psychology part of our topic, and now let's see how we actually make this happen in during working time.
Yes, let's get a bit more practical. Sometimes technology creates the problem, but it can also help to solve it. First up, reminders. Back during that intense Christmas time I mentioned, when I recognized I couldn't start working, I stopped working. I started a small habit. At the end of each day, I'd write down what I just worked on and what I want to start with the next morning into a reminder and configured it to pop up the next morning at workday start. And with that simple step, I was able to let things go, because I knew that all the important information was in that reminder and it will be delivered directly to me the next morning at the right time. At the Drupal user group, one developer said they simply save all their open tabs into one bookmark folder. And the next morning, it's just one click, open all tabs, and the state of work from yesterday was restored. And both of them are great examples of what also Sveta mentioned already, what psychologists call externalization of thoughts. Yeah? Move things out of your head onto a system you trust. Doesn't have to be digital. Next one, Slack status and focus mode. In my calendar, my Google Calendar is connected to Slack, which we use internally in our company for communication. And there is an out-of-office blocker at the end of every day. So workday ends out of office until, I don't know, midnight. And this blocker gets automatically set as Slack status when you have Slack and Calendar connected. And all notifications get silenced. Now new meetings also get automatically declined. I'm out of office, auto decline. Good thing about this is that also my co-workers can see that I'm coming out. They see it in my calendar, they see it in my messenger status. We can also use our phones and computers focus mode to have it enabled or disabled according to certain configurable timetables to silence certain apps or notifications. This also helps to build the boundaries. So that's it for our first list of tools. What else can we do?
So everything what we are talking about right now, it's not only our responsibility, culture matters. And of course, leaders set the tone in a company. Writing at 10 p.m. In Slack, or even better when you are on vacation, it leads to pressure and stress, and this is a bad example. In our company, for example, our leaders remind us oft about an easy rule which calls 888. It's 8 hours of work, 8 hours of free time, 8 hours of sleep. So easy, but everywhere should be balanced. Of course, some colleagues, they are working part-time, and this should be also normalized in a company. Logging off. So saying I'm logging off should feel totally normal, because it's actually a good thing to share with your colleagues. It helps to create a healthy team culture, and it shows that time outside of work matters too. Good communication in the end of your working day. What did you do today? What you will do tomorrow? Maybe what did you manage to do today? This helps to avoid Zeigarnik effect, not only for you, but also for your colleagues who are working together with you. Sharing your routines with your colleagues. I think it's nice to share with your colleagues your end-of-day rituals, or, for example, which apps you use for planning. Or for me, even better, to show and to see what my coworkers do in the free time. It can be everything: traveling, cooking, collecting mushrooms. As you see, we have a chat group with our colleagues, and where they share pictures of their free time if they want. And I think it's nice because it shows that it's okay to disconnect, and life outside of work matters too. Yeah, this is everything about team culture. Now let's talk about closing routine of your working day.
Let me start this one with a story. Imagine a coal miner working under the earth. And when the bell rings, he doesn't simply drop his tools and goes home. First, he climbs back up to the surface, takes a shower, changes clothes, maybe chats with some colleagues, and only then he clocks out. And that's his closing routine. It's how he transitions from work mode to life mode. And now for us desk workers, the tools are lighter, but the idea still applies. And is even more important for all those of us who are working from home. We also need that cool down phase, the transitioning. Sometimes a change of location can help. Go out for a walk around the block, or change your clothes, change your computer. I have a daily cool down appointment in my personal calendar at the end of every workday. So before the out of office blocker starts, there is an appointment, it's called cool down. And 15 minutes before it, before my workday officially ends, the event reminder pops up, and this gives me a really nice signal. Because my calendar is kind of saying, hey, cool down is coming, you will have a coffee in 15 minutes, or you can start getting your sports clothes on, or I don't know, just sit on the couch and read a book. Of course, you can also use your calendar to schedule meetings with yourself, like, for example, a wrap-up meeting for time tracking or for tomorrow preparation. And even again, people will see this in your calendar that there's time blocked where you do something. And all this is used as the kind of mental climb back to the surface, as the Coleman tell. And one tip from one of our colleagues at 1x Internet is to end the day with an easy win, to change your mindset. Instead of picking the next difficult issue, you pick a very easy one, and you do it, and you feel good about it. Depending on how many extra hours you already collected, sometimes it might also fit to finish your workday early, right after you finished a really difficult issue. Instead of starting a new one, let's do this tomorrow and have a fresh start tomorrow. And I think it's also good to see it like that after your work ends, your other contract starts. The one you have with yourself, with your family, or maybe with your cat. And that leads perfectly into the next part, because what comes now after you actually finished your working day, what can we do to recharge?
Yeah, so let's talk about some practical tips, what we can do in our charging time. One of them is setting boundaries. Easy one, but also pretty important one. After 6 p.m., I'm not longer a co-worker, I am a friend, parent, partner. We have a good example about our CEO, Christoph, who got used to work after 7 p.m. and he realized in some time that he can't fall asleep, he can't stop thinking about work. So he decided to separate very clearly, and he decided to stop always working before 7 p.m. because they have at 7 dinner. And that helped him very well to sleep better, to separate from his work and to start to live his private life. Planned activities also help a lot, at least for me, to have something planned after your working time. It shouldn't be anything special, it can be everything. Going out with your friend for a coffee, going out with your child or with your dog, or even having doctor appointment. The most important thing to have something planned after your working time that you can bring and switch from your work to your private life mode. Mental health, it shouldn't be underestimated. Sport and hobbies as well. Some people listen to calm music, some people doing meditation. I know that not every one of you is into it, but I'm sure you all had a moment when you just sit, breathe calmly, doing nothing, and you realize, okay, it helps me a lot, I calm down. This is already kind of meditation. I personally use, it calls apnoea exercises. You just concentrate on your breathing. It's basic, but it helps for me a lot to calm down. Hobbies and sport. I have a good example about hobbies from our Hanan. This is our co-worker. She has 2 children, 2 little children, and she works full-time. For me, it already sounds very stressful. And sometimes she realized, okay, I completely burnt out. I can't concentrate on my private life. In the night, I'm thinking about my issues. And she understood, okay, I need something for myself to switch off. She decided to create an Instagram page with videos of herself cooking. She thought, yeah, I need to do it anyway, and I can take something good from that. So she concentrated on her creative side, and she got a lot of feedback from different people that helped her to separate from work to normal life. But let's be honest. sometimes it's very hard to do everything what we are talking about, especially if you have a very difficult day or you had a bad meeting or you didn't manage your issue. Then you need help. You just literally need to ask for help your friends or family. Just say, help me to disconnect, because to do it together is much easier than to do it alone, and your family or your friends can help you with that. Yeah, so I think our time is almost over, but before finishing, we would like to hear some feedback from you. Maybe you can share with us some tips.
Exactly. This whole presentation was built from a list of tips and tricks from the Drupal community, from our co-workers, and from a few personal experiments that worked out pretty well for us. And we really love to keep that list growing. You see that QR code right here on the slide. You scan it and download all the tips and tricks we've collected so far. And maybe you can help us to collect even more tips and tricks for the next presentation. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Hi. Do you have any advice or adaptations to your schedules when, say, so I contribute to open source. Sometimes those meetings for community projects are actually during my work day. So then I find that I end up working like extra time to make up for taking time out of my work day for like personal open source projects. Is there a way that you found to like balance when you have to do something in the 8 hours of work that isn't kind of work, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, where things mix up, right? Yeah, but I personally tend to see it like that the cup is already full at some point, and if I try to put more in it, it spills out, and I actually try to avoid this and allocate time for those kind of things separately. So this is what I do, what I would give as advice. I mean, otherwise it's really difficult, but sometimes you can't decide on the timetables, right? You have to follow other timetables. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, in the moment when you are full with issues and you can't take your time for that, it's pretty hard, but I think it's just question for planning. Like, we have our project managers, and I think you just need to communicate with your team about that. This is what I would do, I think.
Unless you do your project to your free time, you look at it as something what is like something that is rewarding.
Okay, great. We were still here around at the conference, so you can also talk to us directly. Also, when we talked to other people and told them about the session, they immediately had their own routines and told us about, so we would really love to hear from you.
Yeah, even if it's something small, but you do it and it helps to you, please share with us, because we try to make this list bigger for people.
Thank you.